Hello, you're listening to another edition of Mascarandy Meanders. My name is Mike Appleton and I run a small publishing company called Mascarandy Media that's based in Lee in Lancashire. Well, thanks for joining me again. I've just come back down off when it's past now and unfortunately I've stayed up there for quite a bit, but a lot of kids just decided to turn up and start shouting at each other and throwing bottles, and so it's quite difficult when you're trying to do a podcast. Having a lot of people lobbing stuff around, but hey ho, they've got as much right to be on the hills as anybody else, and probably a good job too. Otherwise, the books I produce wouldn't get read. I wanted to talk today about kind of social media really, and how to promote a book. All my books that I've produced, I've taken personal kind of ownership of publicity, so that goes from the sports books, which are probably a lot easier to promote, because people want to know about sports stars, don't they? They want to talk to sports stars. They want to know what makes them tick. So my first book, Tony Hand, I arranged all his signings and his publicity as well. That was here and overseas. The same with Kel Coslet, probably not as much overseas with Kel, Welsh rugby union, rugby league player, legend in league, and also with Lee Breers as well, the Warrington standoff. It was arranging TV and radio, and trying to push the books as much as I can. The last sports book I did was with a chap called Danny Sculthorpe, and he didn't need any help at all with promoting the book, with the story he has got, and lots of contacts in the media and through State of Mind. That was absolutely no problem with no issue at all with Danny, and rightly so. His story is an absolute inspiration to all, and it's still picking up traction now, a long time after it was released, and he deserves every single accolade that heads his way. I would love that book to win an award, not because I wrote it, but just because of the gravitas of his story. It's quite important to me really that people read that book and understand what he went through and how he's put his life back together. So what I really want to talk about is kind of social media around the Dells and Derbyshire books. One thing that I think is very, very difficult is to sell books through social media. You can have all the Twitter tags and hashtags and things like that, but actually getting that person to click on your link on Twitter or Facebook or wherever into your store and then to buy is very difficult. And I'm throwing this podcast open really to anybody who'd want to perhaps sit down. We could have a discussion about that. I find that most of my book sales go through things that I've done today. For example, with Speedwell Cavern, just tipping up with a number of copies that they've agreed to take and sell them that way, and then promote the fact that those books are on sale through the various venues that are featured in the book. The same could be said for kind of Amazon really. I noticed that when I do a post on a book, the sales on Amazon will pick up really, which is great, because you want the book to be sold. But I'm sure every independent author would tell you that they would rather those books are sold through their own particular sites, because obviously the money stays within that business and not elsewhere. So that can be quite a difficult thing to do, because everybody's got Amazon on the phone. They can just click away and it's done. And you know what, I do that as well. But I do try and buy local and try and buy straight through independent sources as much as I can. So really, I'm throwing this podcast open to you. How do you promote your books on social media? Is it a case of like what I've done with kind of little snippets of what's been happening, what sort of snippets in the book, pictures of where things are, little anecdotes, doing podcasts, things like that, or do you just rely on the more traditional kind of bookshop sales and things like that? I think that some people think you can just go straight on social media, put a link on, and then bang, all the money just rolls in. Unfortunately, that just doesn't happen like that anymore. I don't think it ever did. And book signings as well. I've done a few book signings around. You know, unfortunately, the one I had in Watson's Derby was cancelled quite recently. But I've done a book signing at Inglesport in Ingleton, Yorkshire Dales, and that one went very well. I've done a number of sports book signings as well. Those events are quite easy to publish, easy to promote. So it's strange when you're doing a podcast and people walk past you. You haven't got a clue what's going on, who you're talking to. They have a tendency not to say hello as well. And by the looks of it, I've got could be another 30 people heading up to Treatcliff Cavern by the looks of it in a minute, so I might just have to disappear off. So yeah, it's just to kind of conclude really. I look at kind of promoting little things within the book instead of promoting sales of the book, and hope that comes that way. I like doing talks on where I've been. I like you know, in guidebooks in particular that I produce, I like talking to the people who are at the venues as well, not just this is this venue, this is what it was open, blah blah blah, and actually get some character in there as well. And in the past I have used those interviews on my podcast as well. If you go on to mascarandymedia.com, you'll see some of those interviews on the multi podcast and video page. That's a surprise, isn't it? Podcast and video. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now and let you get on with it, and yeah, look forward to hearing your thoughts.